All right, so this is actually going to be something interesting. We ended our last episode right with the series of fundamentals, and me and you were talking about this. We figured, you know what, we're gonna just kind of throw things out there. This is not a specific series. It's not by any means us going into sharing of how you can grow your business or grow your sales. No, this is just us being genuine individuals, talking about real life scenarios, and just going off the cuff, like you just said. It's just us literally going and trying to inspire some people about some of the stuff that we've gone through, and just kind of being real. What do you hear in podcasts all the time, right? It's just, people just letting things flow, and so we figured, why not make this one as a fun one, to kind of end the year of us just kind of shooting the breeze. We'll try to minimize our cursing, of course, right? So we're just going to go in and...
Good luck.
Well, we do have to be mindful that we're putting this on YouTube channel and stuff, so we do designate sometimes whether it's child related or not, but we can probably not do that for this one maybe, so fuck it. We can do that. So, but here's my thing. I wanted to do this because I felt like a lot of times I go and I see things on Instagram and on Facebook about people talking about their life and trying to inspire individuals, and they don't sound genuine. They don't. It's just it really kind of bothers me, because I look at social media as a pro and a con. It's an absolute benefit because it connects a lot of individuals. It gives us, such individuals that are creating a business, an opportunity to use a platform like theirs. And then you look at the cons and you just look at all this negative stuff or fake stuff. I think is the real one that bothers me. Fake. You have individuals out there that pretend that they are who they are and they're not. They act like they do so much and can create so much for you, and they don't. And that's why we did what we did with the business that we're creating, because it just bothered me.
Yeah,
Man,
it's funny, the social media. That's kind of the big thing on social media anyway. It's just to project a life that doesn't really happen. You got these guys that will go to rent a Bentley from a rental car place for a couple hours,
right?
Knowing good and well they can't afford it, but they shoot off this lifestyle that's whatever. But
right.
At the end of the day, I don't like those people. I don't. I mean, at the end of the day, I want to know. I want to see some struggle.
Right.
I want to see things that I like people who are like me. I think we're all the same way, but it's just.
That's my thing. Is that
By the way, did anybody ever tell you kind of a late night FM DJ voice?
Do I really?
Kind of a sexy voice.
That's a great timing. Yeah. So we'll take that off. But no, to be honest with you, it's reality. You're right. It bothers me, man, because I see these people out there, and I know good and well that's not the case. That the lifestyle that they're living. But if they want to portray that, I'm not trying to be negative here. Perfectly fine, do that. But that's I guess why I bring it up, because that's what drove us to do what we're doing. That's what drives me every day to get excited about our business. But it also just kind of like enlightens me that there's other people out there that feel the way I feel, right? That are just like, you're right, man. Like you watch these people and like, let's be honest, it's that's not something that gets me excited. What gets me excited is somebody that lives the day to days, has struggled the way I struggled, and can and enjoys life. You know what I mean? Like, to me, enjoying life is, to not try to put it into to business perspective, but to just tie into our company, passion, service, growth. What's my passion? My passion is my family and this business. Okay. What's the service? My service is being able to lead and just grow, I won't say grow, lead and develop somebody. When I came out of college with my business management degree, my first thing that I wanted to do was run a business, right? But as I started realizing that wasn't the thing that I could do immediately, I wanted to get into just growing in sales, but more so leading people. Like, I love to manage people. And so that's like what drives me. That's what fuels me. That's what is my service to others. And you said it because it was funny. We were talking about earlier today offline, when you said what you said about, watching that one individual, just seeing them flower and grow into what they become, and you know that you were a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for me. I don't need anything else. I have no other thing in my life that I feel like I need to achieve except for that. And then the growth part of it is that very aspect of it, right? Is them growing, you know what I mean? And myself growing, and I'll always continue growing. That's just like that. I know I'm running off, but it's just like, and that's the point of all this, is that I value so much being able to see somebody just freaking reach for the stars, and like I'm back there. There's so many cheerleaders that are like, "Yay, we're so excited," but behind the scenes they're like, "Motherfucker, I wish that was me," and God damn it, you got so farther than I was. No, who cares? I'm super excited that I know that I was a pillar and a foundation for that person. Yeah. That's what excites me, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to be honest with you, and we talked about this before, but that's what we're here for.
Don't get professional now. Remember, this is off cuff. So
this is Trav. I talk about this on a daily, this. But that's what we're here for. Like I think our purpose in life is just to serve others, to love others, and nothing is more powerful than seeing, like you said, seeing that. And we talked about this earlier, but my life can be complete. I want to make sure, obviously, my family is taken care of. My kids are taken care of and everything else, in the future and everything else. But if one person can look at me at the end of my life and say, because of you, I didn't give up. Mm-hmm. Because of you, I was a success. That's it.
That's it.
And it makes me, and the happiest I'm ever at in life is to see other people succeed, see other people happy, and knowing that I had a small part in that. Mm-hmm. That's me. I'm a selfless guy. So I like, this more I can project, the more I get back. Mm-hmm. And that's where the magic is. I mean, even in sales, I'm not to jump into sales, but I mean, that's it. It's the empathy part of it. It's the service aspect. Right. How can I serve you on a regular basis? And I do that with my friends. Right. Right. How can I be a better friend and everything else? And you talk about the growth, but like, I want to get better on a daily basis. So
I'll go a little different here. So there's an image that I saw, and I was talking to Alicia about this the other day. There's an image out there that just almost like hits so hard about how real social media has become, or just in general how people portray others and what they do. And it's an image, it's like a meme, and it's a guy snapping a picture of himself with a family that's poor or homeless, and he's handing them a grocery bag while he's taking himself a selfie. And it's funny because you see those memes a lot and stuff like that, but that can't be more true about how we see a lot of people sees themselves in this world, right? They're just like, I gotta take a picture of me doing good. No, just like in social media, you often don't see me like on Facebook or Instagram or yourself posting pictures, and the reason for it is because I do what I do, and I don't share it, and maybe I should share it. Maybe I should share it more so people can see the things that I do, or just the love that I have for some of the things that I do outside. But it's just not me, man. It's just crazy. So I go off this cuff because it's just kind of like something that just kind of boggles my mind. So
like, you don't have to document the love you're sharing.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. Like, we feel like we have to document everything. We have to feel like we have to, take our, pictures of our food and, everywhere we've been and whatnot. But I also saw a picture somewhere ago, but like everybody was holding up a picture or a camera, and this little old lady didn't have a camera, but she was soaking it all in. That's the thing. Like, we need to get away from this, documentation. And I know we say this. We've got our social media channels, and we kind of do all this stuff too. But at the end of the day, it's about life and experiencing life. We only get one shot at it.
Right.
So why not take it all in? Why not put the phone down? I'll be honest with you. Like, nothing pains me more than going out to dinner and having somebody pull out their phone. Oh, because you literally, if your phone is on, or phone's on, even if phone's on the table, basically it says something may happen. I know it's ironic because we have both of our phones on.
Right.
But it's it's basically saying that something may happen, and that's more important than you are.
Right.
I put my phone up. It doesn't matter, especially if I'm on a date.
Yeah.
If I'm out with Natalie, my phone never even shows up.
Right.
Like it's in the car, because at the end of the day, that's my time's with her.
Right.
And that should be with everybody. It shouldn't,
Listen, to this day, I mean, me and Alicia have been together for, now I'm gonna challenge myself, 16 years, right? We've been.
Alicia, don't fact check that.
Yeah, that's, hold on a sec, maybe 15 together,
Carry
marriage, carry, right? So, nonetheless, guys are really not good at dates, anyways. But nonetheless, and we still do that to this day. Look, we joked about it earlier. My date night last night, what was it? It was me putting together a sofa. And we had a fun time. We had a little bit of drink. We had a pizza pie, and we just hung out and just had a good old time. And that was it. And once we accomplished that, we slammed on that couch and we binge watched a series of a show that we wanted to watch for a while.
I thought you were about to say, we slammed some beers. I'm like,
Nah.
okay.
If she was a beer drinker,
left turn there?
she slams gin, so that's right. But nonetheless, that's the thing. So here I'm gonna go ahead and the question that I was gonna ask you. So, to become even more real for everybody, right? So that hopefully that the ones that are listening, because I'm pretty sure this is something that gets more people excited to listen to us than sometimes the other stuff that we're talking about. But keep in mind that other stuff is really good. This is just a question that I figured would really open up some doors here. It's a two-parter. Okay. In your life, what was the hardest thing that has ever impacted you in your life, personally and professionally?
Wow. Okay.
Like that one thing that just was like, wow. I mean, this is just, this is almost like a life changer. And you can always remember that.
How much time we got?
Let's not. We want to make sure people want to.
No, at the end of the day, it's all the same thing. You and I went through, but I don't think I've ever really kind of dove into it. Because it was hard. But in Houston, we both obviously went out there. We opened up an office in Houston. We were doing door-to-door sales, and at that time, obviously the market crashed, and a lot of people didn't have money, and I was naive. I didn't know anything about the crash. I didn't know, obviously Lehman Brothers, closed up the doors, and the whole thing, the whole real estate scenario dropped off the map. But
right.
We were selling door to door and selling security systems at the time, and nobody was buying. In fact, half the time, obviously everybody in Texas has guns. I got a couple guns pulled on me, and
yep.
Obviously you kind of laugh about that and do a bunch of stuff, but at the end of the day, it's if you heard enough no's, laughing stops happening. And I had success before I got there. You and I both were the top of our office, but I didn't really know what I was doing, I don't think. And it really kind of hit home that maybe I wasn't meant for sales. And I remember going and all my credit cards were maxed out. I had creditors call me from 2 a.m. to 2 a.m. The only way I actually got any food was, thank God my mother, she's just a saint. I give her hell all the time, but I love her to death. I'm a mama's boy. I'll go and tell you, whatever. But she gave me, they don't have any money. I don't want to put that a disclaimer. They didn't have any money, but they had a gas card, a Chevron gas card that I could use in emergencies. Talk about, obviously, this is serious. So
right.
I could put gas in the car and get whatever
in the store.
Well, the only thing I could get was like a Snickers bar, but I always got food for Jake. Jake's my dog. He's my boy. Some of you have probably seen it in Instagram. He's the beagle. He's been with me from day one, and without him, I don't know if I'd be here. Because my one thought was like, if what would happen? Because we always kind of think, it's tough times get really tough.
Right.
But I persevered because he wouldn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
He sure wouldn't understand if I gave him away.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do that.
Right.
But I remember crying myself to sleep on several occasions, because here I am struggling professionally. No one was saying yes, and personally, I'm a failure.
Right.
I tried something and it didn't work. I told everybody that I was going to be the best. Now I got to go back and tuck my tail between my legs.
Right.
I literally every day I walk in to our house in Houston, and I live with my landlord
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of other people from the office, and I'm literally sneaking in some ninja skills I've never been able to replicate in my life. But I sneak in, and because every day it's like, dude, where's my money?
Mm-hmm.
Where's my money? So I'm on the and not to mention my landlord works at
Right.
my office. Like, how am I gonna get away from them?
Right.
And somehow I do.
Where's my territory today?
Yeah.
Just tell me.
I'm
Just tell me
out.
so I'll go. Yeah,
I'm
right.
out.
I'll go straight to it. Right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. I had to come home. I had to face the music and come home.
Right.
And personally, that was the darkest days of my life.
Mm-hmm.
We always talk about, obviously, getting further and further away from that point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally all day. Like any kind of financial decisions, like that's literally all that comes up. I used to go, and we talked about this in the previous episode, but go to lunch, hoping your card went through.
Right.
Knowing good and well it wasn't going to go through, but
Right.
you tried it anyway.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's those are the tough times, but you also kind of look back and realize that, hey, I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm humble enough to know where I came from, and to know that that's my. You talking about passion? Talk about giving to others. I made a decision when I left there that I was going to master this thing called sales. I was going to make sure that nobody goes through what I went through.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, it's my fault for not getting to them first. And that's what drives me every day. That's why as far as, I'll go ahead and tell you, we talk about, reading 500 books. I don't like reading. I can't read worth it takes me freaking 2 weeks to finish a chapter or whatever. Now that's not really true, but
That's not true.
but I force myself every day,
Mm-hmm.
because even though I've gained enough knowledge to succeed in whatever venture I go to, I still want to get better, because I still want to get new, innovative ideas
Mm-hmm.
for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, if I can show somebody a way to avoid what I went through, that's it. That's what drives me.
Right.
So, what about you? I had the kind of the two. You hit two dingers in the one.
Dang.
But
that one went motherfucking long, people. But okay.
But you got a real potty mouth,
I do have a potty mouth, so this is the real me. There's a lot. And I think, to be honest, it's always you go back to that. Did I do enough? Did I get to the place that I wanted to be? And I don't think so. To be honest with you, am I successful compared to many others that I know in inner circle or people of my age? I'm pretty darn successful. But I feel like I could have been more. My father was an individual that was blue collar, like yours, right? And many people out here that are listening, that do listen to us, they have families that are blue collar. And my dad busted his butt day in and day out. 90 hours, 100 hours a week. And that's no joke. I mean, literally, I would not see that man in the morning when I go to school. And I would probably see him for dinner. and he would try his hardest to try to help me with mathematics, which was about the only thing that he could really help me out with, because English was his second language, so he wasn't going to help me with English or reading or anything of that, or any other studies. But math was his strong suit because he was an engineer by trade, or at least by education, and he would do that after working a 10-12 hour shift, come home knowing good and well that he had to go and run, basically eat, go to sleep, and try to wake up the next morning to go and do it all over again, and then work extra hours, work overtime, work weekends, all that stuff, so that he can make as much as he can. And his one thing that he always spoke to me about whenever we had the chance, my father was a great father, is a great father, he's obviously still around, but he was an individual that just did everything for his core family. His core family was his wife and his kids. That's what he focused on. That's what he told me about. And that's one thing that I always sits home all the time. Hey, what's most important to me is my family. And what I mean by my family is not my extended family and things. No, it's my wife and my kids. That's my family, right? Now, I do have extended family, but that's my family. That's who I concentrate on. And that's what I've been concentrating on from the beginning. But he made it clear to me and my brother, but me specifically, I am doing everything I can. I am spending the time that I spend, the hours that I do, the crunch time that I do, so that you have a better life than I've had. But also to come out of this house a better and more successful person than I am. That was a clear message to me. And I feel like I have, because if I was to compare my age to his age at the same time, and where we are, and I feel like I'm successful, and I feel like I'm doing him proud, but I feel like I could have done more. And there was one thing that my dad always wanted in his life. As crazy as it sounds, it's like he, again, because sometimes things become materialistic, he always wanted a Porsche Carrera. That was his dream car. He always wanted it. And forever in my life, I always wanted to get that for him, because I'm like, what? I'm going to be successful. I'm not going to be blue collar. I'm going to be white collar. I'm going to be a business owner, and I'm going to get you that car. And I haven't gotten there yet, and he's getting up there in age, and I kind of feel like, dang, do I get him just a little model one at least, So it's just, I say this because I don't look at whatever I didn't succeed, or what are some of the maybe failures in my life or the hardships in my life. I feel like it more goes back to, I feel like, yes, though they're proud of me, I could have done more. Though they support me and are happy for where I am, I could have done more, right? And day in and day out, I ensure that I focus my life on my family, and that I do the best that I can to give them what they want and what they need, and will never have to beg for. And I start thinking about that, and I say to myself, am I giving away some of that time of my own because I'm so focused on the dollar and the monetary gain, that am I losing some time with them like my dad did? Because he wanted to, because success, we rate it as a dollar figure. We often rate success as the only way that I'm successful is if I'm making a buttload of money. No, I don't look at it that way no more. To me, success is looking into my children's eyes and them saying, and being happy that they see me. Yeah. Looking into my child's eye and being and know that I'm their father and that they're excited to play with me, rather than being like, oh no, here he comes again to probably yell at me or something like that. No, that is the success I measure right now, and the only thing about it is that it's a very hard line to divide, because professionally, going back to the question, personally and professionally, I still measure that success about being a business owner, making so much money that my family doesn't have to work, or my wife doesn't have to work, my kids don't have to worry about anything, their schools are paid off, all this type of stuff that you think about, right? That's what I focus on. But then I am risking the other success part, and that is the time with them. And so though that is I think the biggest balance in a person that's trying to do what we do and trying to go for what we go for
Sure.
is understanding, that balance is crucial in your life. And if you don't know and don't achieve proper balance, that's where you start hitting those hardships that we talked about. And so I say that because I know many people that are listening to us right now deal with that day in and day out, especially people that are listening to us because they're individuals that want to follow what we're trying to do here and learn from us like we want to teach. They're in the same mind frame, they're in the same mindset. And it's not to say that I'm unhappy. I'm always going to challenge myself to do better.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that, I have to find a way to balance my life better. And that is the only way to do that, is to continue to grow and continue to learn and continue to assess how I do things and always change so that I can do it better the next time.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I think just kind of touch on, and not to get, too much into, philosophical things, but, the scheduling aspect, and talking about obviously balance. And that's something that, I struggled with, because in my mindset early on in my career, and I wish, and again, this is kind of why we jump into it. It's like to avoid mistakes we did before.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want my life to be hinged on a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was too rigid. It just didn't. But I found out that, like, the more we put stuff on the schedule, the more we can carve out time for date nights. Mm-hmm. The more we can carve out time for our kids. Mm-hmm. The stuff we can do during the day. But you find that, like, when you put the stuff on the schedule, your time actually frees up. Like, wow, I could probably do this. Wow, I'm doing this. Wow, if I just not watch TV for 4 hours a day, and I could probably open up my schedule a bit more. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the thing. It's weird that when you're talking, I think we all do that same thing. Like, whenever you talk about your dad, I'm thinking about my dad. Mm-hmm. And it's weird that my parents, they never combined together. They never made more than 6 figures. And how on earth they could take care of our family, me and my brother. And I remember during Christmas, I never had a Christmas list that I didn't check off every single one of them. I make more now than my parents ever did combined. And my brother's kids give me the list. My nickname growing up was Bo, and, like, they call me Uncle Bobo. Mm-hmm. Uncle Bobo, here's your list. I'm like, great. 16 American Girl dolls. I'm like, they roll out the red carpet whenever I go to the American Girl doll store up in North Atlanta. But that's the thing. Is like I struggle getting that stuff, and my list wasn't like 5 things. Mm-hmm. I brought like 4 or 5 pages to Santa every day. Like, I was like, hey, look, bro, this is what's this. Right. You got a second? You're gonna need it. But it just baffles my mind. But, like, the thing I remember most is how they did it all. Mm-hmm. But also, like, my mom never, ever missed a game. Ever. And I remember I was in, we call it Major League Baseball, but it was, kind of a Little League Baseball. I remember hitting my first home run. My mom went down off the bleachers, screaming, running in laps around the bleachers and high-fiving everybody. I'm like, what are you doing, you weirdo? But, like, she was pumped. Yeah. But it's small things like that I remember. I'm 36. I'll be 37 in March. Mm-hmm. Like, it's those moments that I remember most. Mm-hmm. It's time with my brother. Every time I got together, my brother's one of my heroes. But it's time spent that I remember most. It's not gifts. It's not all the stuff. It's thoughts and care, and to know that I can lean on them no matter what. And we're not. And I just kind of give a little personal stuff. We're not kind of a loving family. I want to clarify that, because obviously we're not a regular, like, oh, I love you so much, blah blah, this that. It's like, we just that's just not something we are. We love with like quality time spent. acts, sitting around watching the game, but knowing the fact that we're all together.
Right.
Those little things like that. But I just remember those. It's the key moments, like you said. Those balancing acts. You can drive yourself into the corner. Like you can go up the corporate ladder, and you can go and go and go and go and go. But if you forget the most important thing, that's what we, as we get older, that's what we remember most. We remember the fact that mom and dad was never around,
right?
Like, or they were around. That's what I cherish most.
Right, and to go a little further into the balance, or just to kind of tie into that, to be honest with you, I think it's amazing how if you figure it out and you figure that sauce and that recipe, it's so much of a success, because if you look at how you balance your personal and professional life, they almost help to guide each one, if that makes sense, right? Yeah. So what I mean by that is that if you professionally have a focus, like you want to climb the corporate ladder, but if you have a good personal life, the stressors that you get from one or the other, they either diminish or off balance because they work in alignment. I mean, I'll be stressed at home, oh my gosh, or let me say it this way, I bring stress at home because of my professional life. Yeah, exactly. So I had a rough day at work and whatever, and I bring it in. But instead, if I have a rough day, I'm looking at home as my savior from that stressful day. Mm-hmm. And that is what happens. I go home and I'm like, thank gosh, I get to see the boys. I get to play and wrestle with them on the floor. We get to play a game or whatever. And then, that gets me excited so that the next day going into work, I'm not frustrated from the day before. If anything, now it's completely out of my mind. I've completely forgot it, because now I'm excited, and I'm also just happy because I'm coming out of that personal situation. Yeah. And now I'm going into the professional side, and I'm excited. And I think that's what helps drive some of the stuff, right? Is that we sit here day in and day out worrying about what is to come or where are we going to go next. And you had said it before. It's realizing how important it is to just live in the moment and realize that we have this one life that we live. And if you don't cherish the moments that you do in each and every minute and day of your life and get a chance to remember and soak it in, then it's all for naught. Mm-hmm. And you're just almost a body without a soul. Yep. As deep as that can be, because that's reality, and I think that's where it becomes so beneficial that there's times that people talk like this. There's times where it's vital for you to go and have those conversations. Don't bottle it up. Don't sit there. I think, God, how many times that I've seen people just go and they frustrate themselves, and you can see the anger and anguish in them. And the reason for it is because they don't speak. They don't go and they don't exchange those words with others that are also feeling the way that they feel. Mm-hmm. Because why? Because they feel like no one else is feeling the way that they feel. It's themselves that are only dealing with it, and that's not true. Yeah. There's so many people out there that are the same in the way and that's why it's amazing that you can connect and realize some of the things that people have gone through that is so similar to what you go through, if not exactly the same.
And I'll say this, just kind of like a caveat, but there's kind of a balance there with as far as talking to people and going through the same things. We want to make sure, obviously, we when we do that, we don't necessarily want to have a bitch session to each other, vomit on verbal diarrhea on each other. Right. But
as explicit as we can get right there.
But it's funny because I was thinking about a concept I learned from Tony Robbins, and Brendan Burchard. He's one of my coaches, and he says the same thing. But I remember, and I loved it so much that I told it to different married couples, or at least to the guys anyway. And of course, they looked at me like, "You're not married. You don't know anything about this." I'm like, "No, okay, whatever." All right. But he talks about like coming home. Like and Brendan Burchard talks about like transition. Everything's a transition. But whenever you come home, sit in your car for a minute. Release the day. And then right before you get in the door, turn it on. Like, this is my home mode.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about, if you have kids, the most important thing you can ever do. And again, this is something I plan on doing, in my life. But go home, kids come up, Dad, yeah, and like, all right, kids, where's your mom? I've been thinking about her all day.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on 1 second. So like she's first. You go in there, give her a big kiss, dance a little bit, whatever the case. But like now, your kids see the fact that Dad comes home, he goes straight to Mom. Mom's the most important. Because at the end of the day, this is what happens. Not to say your kids aren't important. I'm not saying that, but your wife is going to be there with you for life.
Right.
Your kids are going to grow up and go on. I believe, obviously, with kids, and again, this is just me in philosophy or whatever, but you raise them up to be the best people they can possibly be, and then you become their best friend later on. But you need to make sure, obviously, you raise them up right, and the way to do that is to show them that their mom is the most important. Because then they become the better husbands. They see if you have a daughter, they see how a man should treat a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And but those small transitions, it's like like you said, don't bring your work life home.
Right.
Make it a transition. Stop, think about it, let it go. All right, how can I make my wife, my girlfriend, my kids, whatever the case, how can I make that the best? Or in my case, my dog, whatever. But how can I make them, feel happy?
Right.
How can I get excited about seeing them? Because at the end of the day, if I talk about my work, my struggles, and yes, I think we need to talk about our struggles, on a daily basis, because getting it out,
yes,
bottling it in is not something that personal experience for years, especially being, kind of coming out as being an introvert. I leave everything bottled in. You'll never know what's wrong ever until that one day when I've had a little bit too much, probably some alcohol, whatever, but
right.
I've had too much in as far as, stressors, that it all comes out
Right.
and explodes out. So you never want to,
and just so everyone knows, I have gotten calls from Travis under those circumstances. Thank you very much. So,
but at the end of the day, it's talk about your daily stuff.
Right.
But the biggest thing, it kind of comes back to what I was saying before, is love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited to see you that I want to hear about your day. I want to hear everything about it. What's the most exciting part of the day? And there's nothing worse than saying, well, how's your day? Good.
Yeah.
Moving forward. No. What's the most exciting thing you get? What happened today that was different from yesterday?
Right.
I want to be excited about you. I'm turning the TV off. The game's off. It's just me and you. Maybe it's 10 minutes. Maybe it's 5. Maybe it's 2 minutes. I don't care. I want you to know that I've been thinking about you all day, and I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if more of us do that, and that's one of the things as far as the beyond quotas, it's not just about the numbers. It's about life.
Right.
It's about getting better holistically and really kind of improving on it. But at the end of the day, it's, if you can do that, learn to do that with everybody. Life is so much better. And I think we get lost in the day to day, and we lose track of things, and we get focused on, like you said, the business and the timetables and everything that's going on. And next thing you know, it's 2 weeks have passed. We even talked to our wife.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's worried, like, well, what is he doing?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's if we're a woman, whatever, that's they're worried about, that the husband's worried about, is she out doing something that she shouldn't be doing?
Right.
Finding the balance, like you said, but really taking a step back in love.
Mm-hmm.
Love everybody you're around, because life is precious. We only get one chance at it.
Right.
So why not just show everybody that you're appreciative of them being around?
Agreed. We're gonna end it right there, because I think we had a good little powwow here. So I think this episode's gonna hit at the end of the year. So Merry Christmas, and looking forward to the new year for everybody. And we're gonna be excited, because we're gonna come out with some new stuff. And I'll just say this: cherish every moment, right? Cherish every absolute moment in your life. Personally and professionally, it doesn't matter. Cherish it. Because at the end of the day, the ones around you that love you and that care for you,
Mm-hmm.
that's what's going to be most important in your life. You can lose your job the next day. You can, not close a deal. It doesn't matter. Because guess what? That system, that support system that you have by you, that love you and care for you, they're going to be there either way. So cherish those moments with them. Cherish every moment that you have. Forget about all the stress. Enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm telling you right now, your life will run smoother through that process. So
Absolutely.